What a wonderful turnout. I'm not going to spend too much time at the microphone tonight because this is actually Les's evening, and more than anything, and before we even begin, well known to all of you as Les Glassman. So a big welcome to Les Glassman. Les never ceases to surprise us and never ceases to be supportive of Beth, Protea and the audience. He's provided delicious eats for afterwards and drinks. He's always coming up with wonderful ideas. He donates his time here. He travels all the way from Jerusalem. And he really does it with a smile and with so much willingness and happiness just to come and do something great for all of you that I want you to know how much we appreciate it. As all of you read on the board and on your programs, tonight is somewhat of a special evening. But I'm not going to tell you any more. I'm going to let Les do the introduction, and we also have some honored guests here. Arye and Esther from Jerusalem. Arye was the ex-ambassador, Israeli ambassador to Swaziland at the time when the prince was a prince in Swaziland before he became a rabbi. So he's going to tell us his story and what he knows about the prince in those times. And we have a movie that we're going to see, and our honored guest, the rabbi, should, please goodness, I hope, be here by then. He's caught in traffic coming all the way from Tzfat. So, Les. You might need to take it out.
Thanks. Lynn, thank you so much. Wow, what an introduction. But the truth is, it's such a pleasure to be here. I really feel... Okay, it's a tremendous pleasure to be here this evening. And I really want to thank... Okay, I really want to thank Lynn and the staff at Beth Protea, who've been always so incredibly helpful and amazing in helping to organize all the events that we've had here, and it really is such a pleasure to be here this evening. So on behalf of Beth Protea, on the Wits alumni here in Israel, Telfed, and the Jerusalem branch of Telfed, and my very close friend Roy Sher, and World Mizrahi, we welcome you here this evening to an evening about how the prince became a rabbi, the prince of Swaziland. Okay, is this a little bit better? Okay. Okay. We have a very, as Lynn mentioned, we have a very special guest this evening. It's Dr. Arye Oded, and it really is a true honor and a privilege.
We can't hear you.
Okay, it's an honor and a privilege to introduce a dear friend, Dr. Arye Oded. No, that's fine. Arye was born in the old city of Jerusalem, and after receiving his MA from Hebrew University, he entered the Israeli Foreign Ministry. From 1960 to 61, he was a research fellow at Makerere University in Kampala, Uganda. Thereafter, he started his diplomatic career in Uganda. In the 70s, Arye served as Israel's interest officer in Kenya and as Israel's permanent representative at the UN Environmental Program in Nairobi. Okay, can you hear? Okay, is this better? Oh, okay. In 1990, Arye served as Israel's ambassador to Swaziland. Tonight's talk is about the fascinating country of Swaziland. We have a lot of people in our audience here who are from South Africa, and Swaziland borders South Africa, and I'm sure many of you went to visit Swaziland, so it's going to be a really, really wonderful evening. Anyway, Arye was the ambassador in Swaziland, the Israeli ambassador in Swaziland, and later he was also at the Israeli embassies in Kenya, Lesotho, Zambia, Seychelles, Mauritius, Rwanda, Burundi, and Malawi. So Arye really got around Africa. Arye was our man in Africa. And he was there until his retirement in 1995. Back in Israel, after lecturing at Tel Aviv University, he received his PhD. He also lectured at the Hebrew University on African topics. He's currently a research fellow at the Truman Institute of the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. Dr. Oded is the author of several books and articles on Africa-Israel relations, on Judaism and Islam in Africa, and on Swahili. Is this a little bit better? Can you hear a little bit better? Okay, I'm just going to show you. This is one of the books I was privileged Arye gave me. It's Judaism in Africa, the African Jews of Uganda. Now, I'm sure you all remember the Entebbe raid. It was in 76. And unfortunately, there was Dora Bloch. She wasn't well, and she was taken off the plane, and she ended up in hospital. And unfortunately, after the successful Entebbe raid, revenge was taken and she was murdered. Anyway, because of Arye's incredible connections that he had in Uganda and his knowledge of Uganda, Arye was instrumental in obtaining the remains that could be for burial here in Israel. Very, very special task that you did, Arye, which we are all very grateful for. Now, the truth is, we really would like to thank you, Arye, for your tremendous devotion, your commitment, your years of service as an Israeli ambassador in Africa. Without any further ado, call on a special guest, Dr. Arye Oded, who will speak to us about his time spent as Israeli ambassador in Swaziland. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I just want to mention that in 1973, when most of the African countries cut off diplomatic relation with Israel, Swaziland, the small country, did not do that. And she continued and we continue to have ambassador in Swaziland, although in other countries we could not have that time because of the decision of Organization of Africa Unity to cut off diplomatic relation with Israel. But Swaziland was one of the countries that did not do that, and we in Israel appreciate that very much. At that time, when I was appointed as an ambassador in Swaziland. That time, the king that in Swaziland that ruled the country for 60 years, he passed away, and his son was only 18 years old, became the king of Swaziland. And the son had no experience in what's going in the world at all. And I was asked, I was in Swaziland, and I was asked to direct him and explain to him the situation in the Middle East and in other countries and what's going on, because he was only 18 years old when he became the king. Today, Swaziland is one of the countries that are very, with whom we have very good relation. Israel has very good relation with this country. And you know, Israel has got about good diplomatic relation with 40 African countries, but it is only, anyhow, it is one-sided to say that they haven't got they haven't got embassies, all of them in Israel, but only part of them they are having embassies in Israel. But with these 40 countries, we have got good relation, and they are helping us usually also at the United Nations. So this is about what I wanted to tell you: Israel and Africa. And if you have got any question, please let me please ask now. If you have got any question about Israel and Africa and about Swaziland.
Arye? Arye?
Yeah.
Here's the picture with you and the foreign minister. If you look, there's the picture.
Yeah.
If you could.
Now what
With the
what we
microphone.
are seeing here.
Arye, the microphone.
Yeah, sorry. All right. Yeah. What we are seeing
Microphone.
here, it's very interesting. It is, what we are seeing here is very interesting because we are now here at in the President of Israel house. President of Israel house. What we see here is the Minister for Foreign Affairs of Swaziland. What happened that he came to visit Israel, and we went to different places, and he was very beautifully dressed with a suit. And when I told him that now we have to go to see the President of Israel, he said, okay, I must go to the hotel. I did not know why you want to go to the hotel. But he said, I must. Before I see your president, I must go to the hotel. And I took him to the hotel, and he came down, and he was differently dressed, only with the traditional dresses of the Swazis. He came down, and I remember when we entered to the President of Israel house, he looked at him at the beginning. He was surprised that somebody is coming with these traditional dresses. But he insisted that he want to see our president with the traditional dresses, and this shows the Swazis habits to dress with their own dresses when they see any high position people. And with him, of course, I'm sitting to the right here, and the head of the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is also sitting near me. But he insisted that he wants to see our president with his traditional dresses, and this is the picture that showing this thing.
I read there's another one.
Yeah, here it is the Independence Day in Swaziland. Independence Day of Swaziland in Israel, in Swaziland. I am at the side, and this is the Prime Minister talking, of course, with his traditional dresses. Yeah.
Arye, Arye, I really want to thank you so much for your inspiring words. And as a small token of our appreciation, this is a very special Haggadah of Pesach, a philatelic Haggadah of Pesach. I don't think you've ever seen this before. It's a Haggadah of Pesach through steps. So Arye, thank you so much. Thank you so much. It's really an honor and a privilege to have you here this evening.
Thank you very much.
Okay, our guest speaker, Nati Gamezi, is on his way.
If there is any question.
Okay, if there are any questions before we're going to be showing, okay.
Here's a question. I may have missed this, but was there any Beit Knesset or any type of kashrut available to you in those days in Swaziland?
Was there any Beit Knesset or kashrut in Swaziland?
In Swaziland,
Yeah.
kashrut?
The truth is, in Swaziland, they had very similar foods to South Africa.
The question would be, did they have actually access at that time to kosher meats and whatever?
No, nothing.
Yeah, I think we haven't got, but we used to buy from other countries, from Kenya, for example, the meat, big quantities of meat, and then we put them in the fridge, and we are using the meat that we bought usually from Kenya.
Kenya was
Because
kosher.
there was a very big community of Jews in Nairobi. So the meat we used to bring from Nairobi.
Okay. Are there any other questions?
The king was king at that time, the Swazi king. Is he still the same king? Is he alive?
He's the king that, yeah, he is. Now, he's still alive. Can you mention about the king who's the king now? The same king who was prince and then he became king.
Yeah. Okay. When he arrived in, when the old king died, so he was in England that time. So they brought him to Swaziland, but he didn't know much about what's going in the Middle East, in the world. So they asked me to come and once a week to sit with him, with the king, and explain to him what's going in the Middle East and what it is going in the world as a whole. And I was, every week I used to go and spend with him, with the king. He was 18 years old, to spend with him and explain to him what is going in the world. And I think it was very nice, and he heard and he learned.
He's still the same king.
Yeah.
Okay. What's his name? I read his name. The name of the king?
No, I can't remember.
Okay.
Were there any Jewish people at that time living in Swaziland?
Was there any Jewish community in Swaziland at the time?
At that time, I think I did not. There was 2 families, and then I understood that the Minister of Health, she was a lady, and she was a Jewish. The Ministry of Health at that time, when I was there, she was a Jewish in Swaziland. Yes. And there was 2 or 3 families also who lived there for many years in Swaziland.
How long were you ambassador in Swaziland?
2 years.
How long were you ambassador in Swaziland?
In Swaziland, maybe
2 years.
2 years. My wife said 2 years.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you so much, Arye. We really, really appreciate it. Okay, we're going to be seeing a very special movie. A special movie about Nati Gamezi, who's on his way from Tzvat. What happened is, I was in South Africa many years ago, and it was on a Sunday, and I put on the television, and there was somebody that I recognized, Nati Gamezi. They had a program, and this movie, I couldn't believe what I was watching on SABC TV. So I watched it, and I was intrigued, and I couldn't stop watching. And I took the number who to contact, and on the Monday I phoned SABC. I must have spent about an hour trying to go from one department to another department, because I wanted to buy that movie. It was brilliant, it was really phenomenal. and nobody knew what I was talking about. It was, it hasn't changed much. I think SABC has gone through many problems even now with all what's happening in South Africa. But then I realized that, I know a lot of the people in the movie. There was Chabad, there was Osameach. So I went to Osameach and I asked, can you give me the contact details of the director? And I went to visit her, and I bought the original DVD in those days, not the DVD, the VHS. You remember the cassettes that you put into, we had it converted into a DVD. And I have a patient who works for, it was IBA, the Israel Broadcasting Corporation, and with Nati's permission, I gave it to him, and it took about a year, but the IBA bought the rights from SABC. And this movie's actually been shown on Israeli television. It's normally shown around Shavuot with regard to Gerim. So we're going to be showing you the movie. You can just dim the lights a little bit, and then Nati, Bezrat Hashem, please God, will be here, and you'll have a first-hand, you can hear first-hand from Nati Kennedy as well.